I also got a little ponderable for you. So basic stuff, meaning the breath work. And by the way, this is my son's T-shirt. This is a band he's really interested in. I'm not like starting a cult, and this is not some symbology of something, but maybe it is. I don't know. That's not anything. I'm just wearing this shirt. So interesting. So yeah, basic breath work. Most important thing is this diaphragmatic release. People have heard a lot about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, there's a direct relationship between your limbic system and this diaphragmatic muscle. When this thing is loose, which is when this is out like this, it means that it tells my brain's going, oh, he must be calm, because in the fight flight context, when I'm fight flight freeze context, what my brain is trying to do is to keep me alive, and when it does that, it's tense, it's ready to go. Everything around, there's nothing around me right now that's imperiling my life critically, so I don't need that to be tight, so I can relax it. When I do the breathing thing, it's a way of reclaiming that diaphragmatic release and coming back to a place where we're in the moment that we're in, which is where we can make choices and where our power is, and where I want to be more often than not. And so yeah, so my rules are all taken from other various practices. This is the easiest way to do it as far as I know, which is why I do it, because I do things the easiest way I can. Otherwise, I don't do them. If I did it another way, I would have given it up a long time ago. I've been doing it for 20-something years now, so it's working out okay. And so, yes, the idea is in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's one. Two is that when you breathe in, you count. When you breathe out, you count. Make sure it's the same number. If it's 5, 10, doesn't really matter. The number is completely irrelevant. It's just you want that to be the same number. By the way, there's neurological purposes behind all this stuff that you can look up if you want to. The Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese Buddhist who I learned the counting thing from. And free back, you don't want me leaning back, you don't want me leaning forward, you want your back to have the freedom, because ultimately that freedom allows this more diaphragmatic freedom. That's all that matters. That's the only reason why you do that. You want to sit on something that's flat, because again, it makes it more likely that you're going to have that freedom. And yeah, that you practice. Most important thing. I practice twice a day, every day. Not saying that because I'm some kind of special person, but only to say that I don't ask anybody else to do something I don't do myself. And the reason why you practice is because it's the same reason why you practice piano. You don't want to be playing this tune for the first time when you're in front of an audience, right? So you practice so you know how to do it. So when you're out there and you have to do it and you're performing, you're doing it in a way that's consistent with how you want it to be. And I do it twice a day because I want to be that close to the last time I did it, and I don't want to have to think about what it feels like and what it's supposed to be like. So that's the back to basics notion. If you want more specific explanation of this, go to all these videos are archived on my page. Just go there and reel back like a Sunday, probably in March. I probably got into this in great detail. But I don't want to take up time for that, because I want to take a lot of your time. Thing to ponder. So this is a trick question. I'm about to ask you a trick question. Trick questions, I love to talk about trick questions, because when somebody asks me a trick question, it drives me crazy, because it's not illuminating for me. It's not helpful for me. It's just me feeling like I didn't know the answer once again. And so I'm telling you it's a trick question because you think the answer is going to be no, but the answer is actually yes. So I'm already setting you up so that you realize I probably don't even have to. I could just say, most people think that they can't stand on one foot. I'm not asking it as a question anymore. I'm just going to say it. But we stand on one foot all the time. If you think about how you walk, every time you walk, now this is for people who actually have the capacity to walk. I realize everybody does not have that capacity. But if in fact you do, when you walk, you're standing on one foot every other step you take. And so the reason why I throw this out is because I could have said, can you stand on one foot? And most people would say, well, maybe for a little bit, or no, or I couldn't possibly do that, without realizing that we do it all the time. And the reason why I throw that out for something to think about is because there's lots of things that we do all the time that we don't realize we do all the time, that in some contexts we would think would be very hard to do and probably impossible to do, when in fact we do it all the time. Like, for example, caring for someone who's different than us. 99%, my experience is that regardless of who the person is, regardless of our sense of whatever we think about, when the shit really hits the fan and action needs to be taken, the vast majority of people that I know, every person that I know, would do something positive, to be helpful, to be useful. And so these sorts of things are sort of part of what I'm trying to address with this, that these notions about things that we might think would be really, really hard to do. We probably do them all the time, but it requires us kind of paying attention and realizing. I want you to think about next time you're walking, what you're doing. Because actually, it occurred to me, I used to be into martial arts, and it was, so hard learning about balance and blah, 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 blah. It was like 4 years ago that I was like, wait a minute, if I'm just walking and I start to take a step, but then I stop and lift up that foot, it's really easy to balance on that foot because I'm not thinking, oh my God, I can't do this, because I've been doing this since I was what? I don't know, 2, 1.5, whenever you start walking. I should probably know that as not a developmental psychologist. I'm not really on top of all that developmental stuff. But I know it's pretty little when I started doing that. And so, yeah, this is something that I've been doing for a very long time. And if I just think about, instead of, oh, can I balance on one foot? That's really hard. If I just go, oh, I just kind of do a different version of walking where I take a step and then stop, because I do that all the time, all of a sudden it becomes a very easy thing to do. So when you're doing your meditation practice, when you're doing breathing practice, when you're kind of coming back into your power of right here, right now, you might contemplate for a second something like that, something that seems like it's really hard to do, but as it turns out, you do it all the time, and it's actually not that hard. Because when you think about it as something that's linked to something you do all the time, you realize, no, I'm actually really capable of doing that. So something to think about. So I hope everybody has a great day. It's a gorgeous day here in northeastern New England, where it's not too hot and it's sunny and breezy, and I'm digging it a lot. And I hope there's something going on where you are that you're digging too. And if not, I hope there will be tomorrow, which will be the time when you see me one more time. See how I did that there? Yeah, so see y'all tomorrow for What's Next with Dr. Joel.